You're thinking about buying new construction in Orlando, and you've probably had this thought. If I don't use a real estate agent, will the builder give me a discount? It makes sense, right? No agent, no commission, so that money should go back to you. But here's the truth, and this might surprise you. In almost every case, the builder's not going to lower the price just because you show up without an agent. And in some situations, going in alone can actually cost you more. Let's break this down. First, you have to understand how builders price their homes. When a builder releases a new phase or a new community, that pricing is already structured. It includes their margins, their construction costs, their marketing budget, and yes, even their commissions. But here's the key. That commission is already baked into the price whether you use an agent or not. So if you walk into a model home and you say, hey, I don't have a realtor, can I get a commission? Can I get that commission as a discount? Most of the time the answer is no. And you're probably asking yourself why? Well, because the builder's pricing strategy doesn't change based on who walks through the door. They are not dynamically repricing those homes because one buyer came in alone. Now, of course, are there rare exceptions? Absolutely. In slower markets, maybe end of the quarter, end of the year, if they're trying to hit sales goals, sure, sometimes there's flexibility. But that flexibility usually shows up as incentives and not price reductions. So that brings us to the second thing you probably want to understand. Builders prefer to give incentives instead of lowering the price. And why, you ask? Well, because lowering the price affects appraisals and future sales in the neighborhood. Think about it this way. If they drop a home from $500,000 to $480,000 for you, well, then that price becomes a comparable for the next buyer. Now, what they'll do instead is they'll offer things like closing cost credits, interest rate buydowns, upgrade credits at the design center, appliance packages, and maybe even some flex cash. Now, from the outside, all of this looks very generous, but here's the big misconception. Those incentives are usually available whether you have an agent or not. They're what we call in the business marketing tools. They aren't solo buyer rewards. So let's talk about representation, because I think this is where most buyers misunderstand the situation. See, when you walk into a new construction model home or sales center, the person greeting you, they work for the builder. They can be perfectly wonderful people. They are perfectly wonderful people. They'll smile and they'll act like they're your best friend, but the one thing that they are not a neutral advisor. They represent the builder's interest. They're paid by the builder. So they're trained to sell that product and protect that margin and guide you through the builder's contract. And builder's contracts are very, very different than as-is resale contracts. These are written heavily in favor of the builder. They include things like timeline flexibility, construction delay, change orders, escalation clauses, deposit structures, the list goes on, upgrade pricing. There's a whole lot happening behind the scenes. So here's the real question. If the builder isn't automatically discounting the home when you don't have an agent, what are you actually gaining by going in alone? Well, the truth is most of the time, nothing. But what might you be losing? Things like maybe, negotiation leverage, market insight, community comparisons, upgrade strategies, and contract protection. Now here's something that most buyers don't realize. A good buyer's agent who understands new construction isn't trying to get the price down. They're trying to improve the deal structure for their buyer. Often that means pushing for more upgrade credits instead of price. Sometimes it means negotiating lot premiums. Sometimes it means timing your contract with the right incentive windows. Sometimes it means comparing multiple builders in the same area and then using that as leverage. And here's the psychological part that builders don't advertise, and why would they? When a buyer is unrepresented, well, the sales rep then controls the information flow. When a buyer is represented by an agent, the conversation shifts. It becomes more strategic, more structured, more negotiated. Now, can you buy new construction without an agent? You could buy anything without an agent. Plenty of people do. But the belief that you'll automatically save money by doing so, well, that's where it becomes a myth. Because remember, the builder already planned for commission in their pricing. They don't suddenly create a DIY discount. In fact, most builders won't even credit that commission back to you if you ask. It simply just stays in their margin. So here's the bottom line. If your strategy is, I'll skip the agent and save thousands, well, That plan doesn't usually work, and it certainly doesn't work the way you think it will. The smarter strategy is this. Use that representation to increase value and not just chase price cuts. Use it to maximize incentives and negotiate upgrades and help you understand the contract and maybe compare communities and, most importantly, protect your deposit. And make sure you're actually getting the best deal available, not just the deals the sales office is presenting first. Listen, buying new construction in Orlando can be an amazing opportunity. You get modern layouts, energy efficiency, builder warranties, customization options. At the end of the day, though, remember, it's still a business transaction. So going in without representation doesn't magically shift the power in your favor. And in most cases, it just means you're negotiating without a professional sales team and you're doing it alone. So if you're considering new construction and wondering whether skipping an agent saves you money, well, now you know. It usually doesn't, and sometimes it can cost you more in missed opportunities and incentives and weaker negotiations than you ever would have paid. Hey, if this helped clarify things, make sure you subscribe right here for more Orlando real estate insights. And if you're thinking about new construction and want to make sure you're not leaving money on the table, reach out. I'd be happy to help you structure the best deal possible. Until next time.